Thank you. Good afternoon. This is Malan from Hearts&Minds Development Center. Thank you for joining us in our Being Whole, Being Me series. I just realized I was muted for a bit, so I was talking to myself. So welcome again in joining us today in what I would say something different, something unique today, because we're going to meet someone whom I label as a serial entrepreneur. So if you are in and already saying hello, so I'm just going to say hello to a couple of people before I introduce Daryl. So John Peter Ganesan, you made it today. Good morning, and it's afternoon here. All is good with us. We are all safe, and I think you can hear me now because I was muted just now. Oh, my dear Gerald Fernandez is here. Good afternoon, Gerald. Thanks for joining us. So if you are here, come and say hello to us and have your questions, especially if you are thinking about, starting a business, becoming an entrepreneur. We have Daryl Tan. So if you've read about Daryl Tan, this is this very, very young man, I must say, who ventured into business at the age of 21. And he started a couple of business, and he's successfully running these businesses. And today we are going to dig deep and ask him how he did it. So have your questions ready for Daryl Tan. So without further ado, let's welcome Daryl Tan. Hey, Daryl.
Hi. Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Daryl. So good to see you. So nice to have you. I thought I'll be talking to you or writing your story. Was it 3 years ago?
Yeah, we met then. We went through quite an in-depth discussion as well.
Yeah. So I remember, meeting you in, I think we were at a Zurich function, and you were a speaker, and then we connected after that, and I was so impressed with your story, so taken aback. And I've been wanting to talk to you and bring your story out to the people because I find you very inspiring.
Thank you so much. It's a good platform.
Yes. Welcome, and thank you for saying yes to us. So tell me, how does it feel when I call you a serial entrepreneur?
You always tease me with that. I don't know. I don't know how to feel really. I think it's just a term used to clearly explain, that I've started a few businesses, right? I think also a serial entrepreneur, at least for me, right, a serial entrepreneur means many failures. Many failures along the way because, there are many businesses that have started. I think 6 to 7, maybe, if you read my profile, but only existing maybe actively 3 right now. Yeah. So lots of friends.
So I love, and this is what I really love about you, Daryl, the way you say things as is, and the way you position it, and I find you very real with issues, and that's what has attracted me most with you. So tell me, you said 6 to 7 businesses, and you say there are failures. So what is your definition of success and failure in business?
I've been asked this quite a lot, and I really like how it's being viewed right now that people accept and acknowledge failures in life, especially in this pandemic, right? I think that it's not easy per se to succeed at everything that you do. So I think for me, failure has been part and parcel of my life in the things that I choose to do. Right. I think I started 6 to 7 other businesses is because I also want to see my capability and my capacity together, obviously, with my partners, and see how far we can stretch ourselves. The reality about failure is that, even right now, after being through many failures in my life, number one, I live with no regret. Number two, I think that I am still susceptible to it. And even in most recent weeks, there are failures. But I think success comes from, to me, success is, it's a very wide word. And usually when people think about success, I say the word success, usually people will think of a very rich person, like monetary
Mm,
wise, a very rich person. And I think that it's a stigma that we all need to have a very constant shift in our mindset, that I believe being successful just money wise doesn't make sense if you are not enriched with good people around you, or the people that you love, or the people that you can even spend the money with
mm,
genuinely. And you see
mm,
many failed, unfortunately lah, failed marriages, relationships, even um, parental support, right? And just because these people are so darn rich. And Jack Ma said this once, and it was very real. I like it. One of his greatest regret after being a multi-billionaire, right, is that he actually regrets that he didn't spend enough time with his family. There was one video of that. You can actually go and watch that online. I thought that hit home because that's truly what I've been taught since young, right?
mm,
Success is not just money. Money is good. Money can actually solve. I believe money can actually solve a lot of things, and I don't believe in those people who are rich and say, "Oh, money won't bring you happiness." Actually, to a certain extent, money bring you a certain amount of happiness, can solve certain amount of things, which makes your life happy. But true success also then looks at the back end of things, right? Your relationship with your kids, relationship with your parents, relationship with your spouse, even how much social impact you make to the people around you. So
mm,
that's my definition of success. I think it's very wholesome. It should be wholesome, and failure should also be something that you learn from, but not stuck at those failures. You just learn from it. Good, thank you very much. Dust it off, stand up and go again. Right. Mm.
So, what makes you? So, imagine you. I mean, you say you've been through a lot of failures. So, I love the way you defining success, and Marisa agrees with you.
Mm.
Right, Marisa must be someone who knows you, I guess. So she says, "Very well said, Daryl." So, I love the way you ease into failures
Mm.
as a normal thing, which I think a lot of us struggle. We get stuck. So I find
Mm.
that for me personally, I I say this. I try not to get stuck with both success and failure because it's all experiences, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm,
so I love the way you've defined success as to you're looking at how you are measuring your life, right?
mhm,
On one hand,
mhm.
you're very clear about it. But what I also love and I'm very curious about is that the way you are easing through failures,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
that's obviously making you continue to move forward
mhm.
with a lot of normal ease. So when you are experiencing failure, right? What do you tell yourself?
Maybe I would also add on to the quote unquote easing into failures. And I think many of times a lot of us may look at the result of that success, but so called easing into failure, it looks like it's easy because um, you may have used failures to propel you to a certain result or success. And I think I've used that as a platform many times. And therefore, I think it may look like you have said rightfully, right, easing into failures. But I think most of the time, if really I'm real with myself, right, it's not an easy task, or it doesn't seem too easing into failures. I think most of the time I stumble, I actually cry out to God and say, why, and what should I do next? Right. And I think that the whole area of how I continue on in failures is that we have to really be truthful, um, and acknowledge failure first and foremost as not the end of
Mm,
things.
mm,
I think many, unfortunately, may look at failures as the end, right,
mm,
and give up. Well,
mm,
I'm here to encourage you that failures, and I love this quote. You've heard this before. for every failure, you're one step closer to success, right? So I believe that at every failure or someone says no to you, you should actually rejoice. I saw this comic somewhere before. I really hit home, right?
Mm.
A salesperson calling someone and the person says no, right? And he rejoiced because he said, oh, good, means I'm on to my next no, and the next no is getting me closer to my yes. And I think I hold on true to that because then it propels me moving forward. And even in the past 1.5 years, I think I failed in finding the right partners for my latest venture, and I feel or as collectively we have failed each other in terms of being effective partners, and therefore it took me 1.5 years and many failures after and many change of partners, sets of partners. I'm on to my third partnership right now for my latest venture, and this is so-called my success after leaving a trail of 2 sets of months of other partnerships as well, right? So
Wow.
I think it's a sense of propelling and to tell you this is not the end. For every no, you're getting closer to a yes, right? So it's really just to move on in this positivity and in this mindset. Yeah.
So you're a very people person on one hand, right? So, and I like what I'm hearing, because I've only been in one partnership when I first started, right? and and after that, it took me a long time to ever collaborate and get into a partnership. So that's where I'm coming from, in
Mm,
terms of admiring what you do. So I like the fact that you say, you had to go through that,
mm,
those partnerships. And I also like you're probably one of the first one I'm hearing personally who says, we failed each other. So
mm,
very often when partnership fails, there's a tendency to blame the other person,
mm,
and how the other person is showing up, right? So I like the way you
mm.
say, "No, we actually failed each other, and now you are." So what gives you the hope to keep trying at relationships?
Mm, mm. Ironically, I I always say this personally, and even to the people around me sometimes. Truthfully, if you know me, right, I actually am a very low trust person. Trust is something that is difficult to come by, and people have seen it, and people have actually said it about me, and they know it because I also verbally say it. I'm not one to easily trust someone else. This has led me to also find a way to trust people more and in certain areas, right? And having that said, I think because of that, I try my best to ensure that it's always in my mind, it takes two hands to clap, right? It takes two
Mm,
hands to clap. And therefore that is why I am very clear that when I go into partnerships or in any situation, right, there is always a 50-50 thing. And it's not totally always the other person. And I believe that whether or not I'm a people person, it's sometimes hard also to believe I personally am. I think
mm,
I have also grown up in my earlier days. I've grown up in a very sociable environment,
mm,
whether it's church, different ministries, different platforms where I was able to given a chance to be a leader in different elements, right, and to lead certain things. And I think that has developed in me, quote unquote, off on switch, whereby I'm able to know when it's time to be people person, or when I probably need to be my natural introvert self,
mm,
right? And,
mm,
and 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 to reflect and to think and to realize how important it is in the whole area of whether trust or even believing in people. But I do believe that people investment is very important, and I believe that investing into people, I always say this as well, people is one of your greatest assets, but one of your greatest headaches. And that's the truth.
mm,
And I myself may be a headache to someone else. Someone else might be a headache to me,
mm,
right? And when growing up and when I first started my venture, my very first venture in 2012. My sister, as some of you may have watched the beginning video, my sister is 10 years older than me. So I went to her for advice, and she gave me one advice which sticks to me right now. It's pretty brutal, but it goes like this. It says, if you want to be an eagle, you want to soar like an eagle, don't mix with turkeys. So I thought that's okay, that's good, right? And therefore I need to choose the people around me. I really need to choose the people around me very intentionally. And going through the years, I always thought, oh, I'm the eagle, right? I want to be the eagle, right? But actually, after 2 years or so, it hit me, hey, wait a minute. I might also be a turkey to someone. That's where it caught me, and to know that, okay, I need to humble myself a bit more, and it always takes two hands to clap. I may be eagle to myself and to some people, but some people might view me as a turkey, right? So I believe people relationship is also like that.
You seem to always be able to look at the two opposite points of view and stay objective. I think that's what I'm hearing from you. You seem to look at success and failure in that space, and you look people and profit, if I want to use the word in the same way, right? And also, like, yeah, I have difficulty with trust, but at the same time, I will trust, sort of. So you seem to be you're grappling with both opposites, and you seem to be finding the point of balance that works for you. I think that's what is coming up for me. Which I've always said that to you. I just love the way you think in all direction, right? Now, having said that, I heard you say just now, how when things go wrong, you cry out to God and say, oh my, why God, right? I heard that, and I also heard the bits where you said that being involved in church gave you a lot of opportunities to lead, and I suppose in leading you learn, right? So tell us a little bit about your growing up years, right? How do you think your growing up impacted you becoming what I call a serial entrepreneur?
I believe I always live quite an atypical life to a certain extent. Why I say this is that I grew up in firstly a very small church, and then I shifted to a mega church. And in this mega church, because I felt that I was given an opportunity, I was quite blessed to join ministries and was able to help me build my inner talents, in which I felt maybe perhaps I didn't know about. And I owe it to my church leaders, and even right now, they are still very close to heart, and how they gave me opportunities to lead, right? To lead, I led cell groups, whether it's an assistant leader, a main leader. There were a lot of camps, and in the camps, they require different leaders in different teams or departments, so-called. So I was given all this opportunity, right? I grew up whereby I was friends with people who are 3, 5, 8 years older than me, and I think that helped me a lot even in my growing up years, because the topics that they talk about, the conversations I sit in, I may not contribute at such a young age last time, but I was taking it in. And the way I learn is that I also look and observe, and then I try it out for myself. Right? Very simple example I give you, nothing to do with church, but that's how I learned how to swim. Right? I learned how to swim not because of coach. I learned how to swim by observation. So I went to a holiday when I was very young. I think I was still primary school, and I was in a hotel, and then my mom took me down to swim. So she was just hanging out with her friends outside of the pool. I was in the pool just observing and how people swim. And after half an hour to an hour, I could swim. And then I showed my mom, and she said, "How did you do it?" I said, "I just look and look at every stroke," right? And I think that gave me one of my realization of how I learn, and therefore I also took that and grew that as I grew up in church, right? Moreover than church and the leaders that gave me those opportunity, opened my mind, gave me the platform to even preach, right? I entered preaching competitions and so on. That really helped me in going full force in how I communicate and how I translate certain scriptures and how to easily communicate big words to something understandable as well. In my college days, in my uni days, I think I was very much exposed to friends that are quite open-minded as well, that encouraged me in my journey, whereby I don't know, some of you may know or may not know that I actually stepped out of college or university. I finished college, I stepped out of university, first year, second semester. And majority of my friends were puzzled but supportive, right? And I think those were my growing up years. And I do have certain people along the journey that actually propelled me with words that usually we do not like to hear, like, you will never make it in life. If you continue on like this, you'll never be able to succeed. Or I had one funny teacher, which I still find funny. I'm not offended, which is the truth. One day, my friend in college asked my teacher, I think it was a statistics, right? Statistics teacher, and they asked a question. My friend asked a question to my teacher. Then my teacher saw a bunch of us hanging outside classroom. He said, "Just go ask any one of your classmates about this question. They should be able to help you, except Daryl." Right. So I took it as a joke, right? Because I knew I wasn't good at that subject at that time. All my friends around me knew also, and some of them were like quite pissed. But to me, I'm like, it's fine. I think all of us are with certain strength, and some of us are with other strength, and therefore I scored 100 for my commerce, right? But I did very badly in statistics. So it's strength and weaknesses. And I think I needed to learn that, and in my growing up years, I guess that's what I was exposed to as well, and that has shaped me to be a person even right now. And that's how I communicate with people as well. I mean, I don't bash them. I just look at strength and weaknesses and see which one to leverage on primarily.
How do you leverage on one's weakness?
I think for weakness, and we believe that even the Bible says, right, your weakness will be your strength. I think firstly acknowledging my weakness, right? If I acknowledge my weakness, at least I am open to know, okay, this is a weakness. It's not a gray area anymore. Leveraging on weakness, I believe, if you're able to tell someone this is your weak spot, you're able to pinpoint something like a piece of wood in your eye, or sometimes you get maybe something stuck in your skin, right? You can't see it, but it hurts, but other people can see it. So I point out, right, that probably is something that you need to fix and you need to remove. If not, it will hurt you for the rest of your life, right? So leveraging on that allows the person to not have a gray area, that thinking, is this my weakness or is this not? And it gives the opportunity to the person not only to know, but whether he or she wants to improve on that. If he or she doesn't want to improve on that, it gives a shift of energy, I feel. Meaning to say, I'm not good at Excel, right? Even after 3 months of training, I'm still no good at Excel. What I need to do is, my strength is to find someone to do it, or I need to make sure I strengthen my other areas of, let's just say, I'm very good at illustration or creative, right? I rather spend time developing that and not spend any more time developing my skills in Excel per se, right? So I think it gives clarity to know where to spend your energy on. It's just a shift of energy and focus. So I believe that's how you leverage on weaknesses as well.
Wow. So you seem to. So I see that a lot of the examples, you're very grounded spiritually. Because whenever you are looking for guidance, you seem to be grounding yourself in spirituality in the examples that you're giving me, right? So let's go back a little bit to your childhood. And just before we do that, I just want to welcome a couple of people who've come in. Of course, we've said hello to Marisa. Dr. Vimi is here. Dr. Vimi Ramasamy says hello. Ashok, thanks for coming. We've already said hello to Gerald and John Peter. Purpal Singh has joined us. So Purpal has just launched his book called Thrive. So Purple, thank you. Thank you for making time to come here.
Oh,
Elizabeth Diravium is a friend of mine. She joins us almost every week. She's saying, wow, so positive, Daryl, right? Someone,
thank
a
you.
LinkedIn user says, good chat. So I'm going to guess that it might be GD Naidu but his name is not appearing. So thank you everybody who's joining us. We're talking to Daryl Tan, a serial entrepreneur, and so far he is talking to us about all the other things that that we don't hear from other people. From learning from partnership that fails and how we fail each other, to believing, to having trust when you have low trust, and investing in relationship
Mm,
when you may not be so people centric after all,
mm,
right?
mm,
And being an introvert, he also shared how he learned skills and the need to communicate. And just as we were finishing, it's interesting how he says how sometimes negative remarks propels him to shift, and how we can actually use our weakness, right, or learn from our weakness and learn, grow, and know when not to focus on it and focus on your
mm.
strength. So it's just very interesting that you've covered so much in this space, right? And as I
Mm.
say this, interestingly, Pertpal says, I wanted an overview. I hope I did a decent summary, Pertpal.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. And Chi Seng says, hi, Chi Seng, thanks
I
for
just
joining
saying.
us. Yeah, I don't know whether you've been on his show already or not. So let's
Not
go
yet.
to not
Yeah.
yet, not yet. Okay, I think he's here to check you out. All right. so so let's go a bit, because it seems to me that a lot of your grounding in church and leadership has shaped you as the person you are today, right? So tell us a little bit about your childhood, the shaping of how you became Daryl, and of course we're going to transition of entrepreneurship. So tell us a bit about your background.
I always believe, and I find it hard to say this sometimes, but I am very honest, especially to my spiritual leaders, and saying that, hey, I'm in the marketplace and it's not easy to be in the marketplace, and I must be real. Being in the marketplace and being a Christian or being spiritual in any faith that you have, obviously every faith teaches you to be good, right, and good values and how you should love your neighbors and people. But I think being in this space, fast-paced journey versus my younger days. Younger days is just hee hee ha ha. You go through the waves of life. You wake up, everything is taken care for you. You're not in the marketplace. You go to school, you play with your friends, you study, you annoy some teachers, and you come back, right? But I think as I grow up and being in this space, it's difficult to balance between spirituality and the worldly notion or worldly expectation of who you should be as a leader, right?
Mm,
So I think what shaped me since young is obviously looking at certain leaders, number one, at how they also perform and how they interact or how they behave in the marketplace. And I do know multiple marketplace leaders who are extremely good at balancing or being consistent. No, the key word is being consistent in their lives, both at their, whether it's church or wherever they are, spiritual health matches also their character in the marketplace. One of my spiritual leaders said that the most difficult thing and one of the best characters to have is being consistent. Whether you are at home,
mm,
whether you are in church, whether in a mosque, wherever you are, in work, in your team meeting, you are consistent. And hopefully the consistency is that, I mean, people would find benefit from that consistency, right? And I think from young, I
mm,
was being instilled to a certain extent on how, especially my mom, would respond to certain situations. She's a very poised, very patient lady. Of course, she doesn't, she's not very assertive. I grew up to be a bit more assertive and firm. But I think she has this calm spirit in her, and I try to emulate that growing up as well, especially during my younger days, where I was actually a very naughty kid. I was a very angry kid, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it was just this anger in me, where I would just hash out, I would just lash out, and I not something not proud of, but I also don't know why. Up to now, it's
Mm,
just a lot of, I was very easily triggered. I was very
mm,
easily triggered when I was angry. Yeah, at my younger age, my auntie was very scared of me. My dad's side, right? Sometimes she used to take care of me. I was a very naughty kid, and I think. When I was angry last time I was young, she said my eyebrows used to turn red, like the skin at my eyebrows used to turn red. Like I was some kind of avenger, I guess. But that taught me a lesson to know how to interact with people and how your body language or even patience play a very important role, especially in business, especially whether you're in leadership or whatnot. Because I mean, to be truthful, right, in be a position of leadership or owning several businesses, it can be your peers, your colleagues, your partners, your customers, or your team that actually make life sometimes the best or the lowest. Right? I think we need patience, and that has from young shaped me up to now. One of it, one of the elements that has shaped me to who I am right now.
So actually, I think I've got you for the wrong topic. I should have invited you for spiritual leadership because that's what you're talking
Alamak.
about. You know,
Someone else.
yeah. It was also a request that has come up because that's where the conversation is shaping. But
Mm.
what I'm hearing from you, I think while you're anchored spiritually, and that's where you're getting you're anchored in your personal values, vision, and meaning, right? Purpose. You're very purpose driven, right? What I'm hearing is that you need to be one person, and you need to be congruent. You need to be true to yourself, and hopefully your true authentic self will serve the world.
Mm.
So that's
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
actually hearing, right? So
Thank you.
I actually cannot imagine you being an angry
Mm.
kid. I cannot. But so that gives hope to parents who have angry kids at
Yeah.
home, that you
Yeah.
could have a transformed Daryl. So when you were a kid, right? So tell me. So you spoke a bit about your mom. So tell me a little bit about your dad. What was the influence of your dad in your
Mm.
growing years?
Mm. So be honest, remember I talked about how being successful sometimes may change your priorities in life. And I think in my younger days, growing up with my dad, when I was still, I guess, really young, like 1, 2, 3 years old, I think my dad spent most time there. But I think when we were growing up, he spent a lot of time out working, right? So to a certain
Mm,
extent, to be honest, he was, can say, an absent father, right, in
mm,
my life. I think that no fault of his own because he's like a really Chinaman kind of father, right?
mm,
Provide, I work, and come back late, and the many olden days habits that I think are frowned on even now in this new age. But I think my dad was also he's a good salesman. He's a very good sales person, right?
mm,
To a certain extent, maybe he can get you to buy. He can sell ice to Eskimo, like as said, right? I think I've found him to be in terms of diligent and hardworking. At
mm,
least where work is concerned, where work is concerned. And I think up to now, he's quite senior and he's still working, by the way, because I think I found this out about my parents is that they cannot stop working because once they stop working,
mm,
they get fidgety, they don't know what to do. And actually, the mind is again hearts and minds, right? The mind actually deteriorates and they
mm,
don't want to get there. I love that determination of both my parents. Like they don't want their minds to deteriorate, where they even can't understand what's going on. They can't comprehend. And I think working helps them to stay fresh and active. Right.
mm,
So I see these two traits in
mm,
both, not just my dad, my mom as well, especially my mom. So yeah, I see during my younger days, I can see that the responsibility of both my parents were there. Lah. I mean, although I did have a bit more of an absent father, he didn't know how to communicate really well to his kids. I think love is communication, right? You need to
mm,
communicate that love somehow, whether it's actively physically, like a hug, or through words of affirmation, right? There's the love languages, but I think he just didn't know how to, right? He probably thought parenting was, just like that lah, like
Alright.
basic 101. And again, we don't have that much resources as 30, 40 years ago to
Mm.
know what parenting is
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one to blame. So, but that has taught me a lesson, and it has also become a negative positive where I'm able to see, okay, certain areas I do not want to emulate, right? And that teaches me then, okay, what is the opposite of that? What should I do and what should I have done? Looking
Mm.
at how my dad has maybe quote unquote performed, right?
Nice.
And I
Nice.
think that has taught me lah. Yeah.
So it's really very interesting, right? Last week we had a speaker, Darren Lutz, right? And he was actually talking about, building identity because he was talking about family therapy. And this is exactly what he said. He said, if you, to form your own identity, you take the bits that you like about your parents,
Mm,
right? And the bits
mm,
that you don't like, just
mm,
leave it be because that's their
mm.
journey, right?
Yeah.
Right? We don't judge them because they did what they could in the best way they can, right?
You're right.
And then
Yeah.
you begin to shape who you really want to be, and that's what you are saying. And you seem to be intuitively doing that by observing. Maybe that's why your observation skills are really, really good, right? Because
Mm,
you did mention just now you observe behaviors and then you role model that, right? So
yeah.
who
Yeah.
were but before I go into your role model, I'm curious, what's your love language?
My love language right now is actually time.
Okay.
Right. So time, yeah, time actually service. My wife has said to me also, one of my love language is service.
Mm.
Excellent.
And
Yeah.
when you were growing up.
When I was growing up, maybe gifts, maybe gifts a little bit. And I would actually quite like to be close to people. So maybe in a sense physical, but not the physical touch, but just being close, right? Knowing people are present. That is why I think I may have felt a bit more that there is no father figure,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That was going
Yes.
in things. Yeah.
And I asked you that because that's what I was hearing when you spoke about your dad. Because on one hand, I think as children we understand,
Mm,
we are able to empathize to know that
mhm,
they've done their best. But on the
mm,
other hand, as a child, we have needs, right?
mm,
And when the need is not met,
mm,
we continue to feel it, but we grow out of
mm,
it, and how we grow and how we respond to that. And so I was just trying to hack that in that sense, right?
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
that basically what you're saying is that you wish your dad was around more often,
mm, mm,
because that's what you needed as a son,
mm,
right? A role
mhm.
model in your father. And
Yeah.
he couldn't be there because he set his priorities different. He did what
Right.
he needed to do. But having said that, so who were your role models in your growing
Mm.
years?
So I have many role models. I tend to segregate them or segmentize them, a bit like CRM, the customer relationship manager. I'm like a CRM. I segmentize them also in their strengths. So when I was growing up, obviously, most of my time was spent in church because growing up, right, youth, I was fully responsible and active in youth, and I had many meetings to attend. So majority of time, I look at spiritual leaders, whether it's my pastors, my direct team leader, and even some other mentors.
Mm,
So close to home, I would say my immediate youth pastor at that time. There were two of them, and then my zone leader,
mm,
in which they were all men. So
mm,
I could relate and at least found sort of a father figure there because all of them are family men as well, and I can see
mm,
how they prioritize ministry and find time for their family and their kids as well. How they talk to their kids is also very important,
mm,
and how they educate them or respond to them. Also, I've seen firsthand. right? So I think that those were the times where I was able to learn from them. Obviously, my mom tried to play, although she I had two parents. I'm blessed to have two parents all the way through. I think my mom was also trying to fill a gap in between, lah, right? She's trying to be a mom and also a bit of a dad, right? But of course she cannot, so she pray, she pray hard, and therefore I was very much active in church, and obviously all these men leaders came my way. As of now, I think when I grow up, I find business leaders as well where I can lean or glean on. So I segregate them again to spiritual leaders that fixes my eyes on God and
Mm.
the practicality of his word to my work. And then I have one that is just for my relationship. They are my premarital counselors. So they only mentor us in the area of my marriage, my wife. And then now and then occasionally, I have business type of casual mentors in which I reach out to ask for guidance,
Wow.
right? Yeah, yeah. And funny enough, I think obviously because now as a grown up, it's easier to still connect with men, and that's what we're encouraged to, lah. Right. So actually, all of them are men, in which I'm totally fine, because I feel having that deep relationship with the same sex also helps, right? Things that you can talk about, and it's also in quote unquote in that safer area, right?
Mm.
So I think that secondarily substitute my need for a father figure, right, to a
Mm.
large extent. Mm.
Wow. So that's really interesting, because what you are telling me is that you are consciously looking for role models and mentors in different parts of your life.
Mm.
And that's what I believe in role modeling, that you need to look for what you want, and people have
Mm.
successfully walked that path, and
Mm.
then be able to have a relationship with them and ask them the questions to guide you, because they've done it the way you aspire, the way you've built your ideal. And you are really one of the first one I'm meeting who has a role model or a mentor for different areas, right? Especially for
Mm.
marriage, because that is
Mm.
that's wonderful, because we can think about work, we think about business, right? But not many people have role models and mentors for their marriage. So tell
Mm.
me, and I'm going to ask you, because of the mentoring, what are the qualities that you look for when you are looking for your mentors, right? I
Mm.
mean, I know you have different mentors, right? So
Mm.
what are the qualities you look for when you say, okay, I'm going to like choose this person to be a mentor?
Maybe a bit of context. Right now, my mentors are very casual. So to just put it out there in case people thinking, wow, I got so much time to go and find mentors and still handle so many businesses, right?
Mm.
I choose also now to be very sure about my time, and I try my best not to overcommit, because I've been there before, overcommitting, and it doesn't do good to both parties. It really just doesn't. There's no focus, people just drop out, and then you might not even end in a good overall situation. So I would say one of the clearest intentional mentors that my wife and I chose is marriage counselors, in which they are also the senior pastors of my church. And we intentionally chose them ahead of time, in which we booked their time 1 year ago. I'm a planner, so I booked their time 1 year ahead to make sure I get them, because their time is also very limited. So I was blessed. We were blessed to get them. I think that one of the practical areas we looked at is that, okay, who we want to be almost like 10, 20 years down the road.
Mm.
What is
Mm.
their profile? What is their persona? And we could see it a lot more in them, because they have a family, they have kids, both are working, both are very good with people, very practical, very effective in whatever they do, right? Very, very effective in what they do, in their areas of strength as well. So we thought, oh, that's a good one, because it serves the family side, and it also serves the practical side of life, whereby they actually help us a lot in the outer areas of our problems as well, and not just marriage. Sometimes it's personal, career things. They also are able to integrate that and just mash it all up together, because they also have marketplace experience to a certain extent, right? So it's quite wholesome. So looking out for the practicality and finding that area ideally to be wholesome, even in their overall lifestyle, that I'm able to mirror or able to relate to lah. Yeah. And actually,
You,
I want to
sorry.
share, there's a business mentor that I used to have. Now I'm very good friends with him and the whole family. In fact, the son is my godson, so, and our godson, so my wife and I. And in the earlier days, he's the one that mentored me, intentionally met me up as well. He used to run one of the biggest and largest independent digital agency here in Malaysia. They're overseas right now, but he was my early days business mentor, because I saw the hunger, the leadership style, or the mindset of an entrepreneur in him. So he was really solely really just for entrepreneurship, not business, just entrepreneurship. At that time during my formative years as an entrepreneur.
Nice, nice. So you have a very clear vision in the roles that you play, in the direction that you're going. And so what you do is you seem to have a picture of your ideal self in whatever roles that you're talking about. And then what you do is you look at your own strength and see which are the bits that you need support with, and you look for mentors who live the life the way you aspire congruently. So you're really looking out for people that you want to become, and for you to become who the people you want to become, you need to have very clear picture of who you want to be at the end of the day, and that's consistent throughout all the things that you are actually saying right now. Before I go into some bits on leadership and say maybe a bit more on how you actually transition through these leadership and a bit about your business, there's a question that Marisa asked, and I thought maybe we could we handle it right now. What criteria do you look for in your partners? So beyond congruence that you've actually spoken about, and the combination of spirituality, and practicality, right? Marketplace experience. Yeah. Beyond those things, what else do you look for in your partners?
That's very good, Marissa. For me, I always believe there is no lone wolf in a business journey, and I've been there, and I've learned it the hard way. So to me, partnerships, right? I feel that it's a real marriage between 2 to 3 more people in a business sense, right? It's really a relationship also that we need to invest in. And because we're investing so much time in these partners, few of the criteria that I look out for is seasons of life. Number one is season of life. Like, what season of life at that point that you choose to join me, or we choose to come as partners, what season are you in, right? Are you in a crossroad? Are you building, are you thinking about leaving the corporate world? Are you, did you just start a family? Because every season equals to different priorities of your life. So I need to know that, right? Number one, the criteria is seasons of life. Number two is whether these partners actually resonate with the vision, right? And the craziness of your business plan, right? Every business, I believe, to some extent and to some people, is crazy. Like, why would you even want to start this, right? In whatever time, whether pre-pandemic, pandemic, post-pandemic, right? Every business that you want to start is to a certain extent risky, right? So whether or not they resonate and they passionately want to follow that vision, right, and that goal, and where you are heading towards, whether they have that hunger. And the third one is then a skill set, I believe, partners need to have. In this day and age, especially if you're building something from scratch, bootstrap, meaning to say lack of resources, you don't actually have any form of official funding, everything just comes from you, time, money, strength. Bootstrap, right? The term's called bootstrap. Is that you need to find a partner or partners who can think and can do. This is the same thing I find in teammates, in employees, right? Thinkers and doers. And these are not 2 different people, they are one person. a person who thinks strategically, critically, openly, all right? But at the same time, after thinking, don't just come and tell me your thoughts. I would
Okay.
love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear how you're going to execute it as well, right?
Right.
I want to see, or at least I myself will also try my best to execute and put my ideas down into a working prototype, into something tangible, right? That we're able to actually see the results of
Mm,
that, and don't just think, talk, and give ideas.
mm,
Do it, make it a reality. And these are my top three things that I find out. The third one, you will probably only find out after 3 months, 6 months. That
mm,
is why I took 1.5 years to find my now partners. It's because I needed time. I
mm,
needed time to see whether are they just talkers or also doers. I needed time to see whether their season of life would change, or where they say they really are at.
mm,
So all this comes in the um, in the element of time where you cannot run away from.
And you're okay with that. You're not in a rush.
I think I have to come to terms with that. I'm always in a rush. I was just telling someone yesterday. She said, "Oh wow, your company growing." I said, "No, no, no. I'm looking for funding is because I want to grow. I think I'm not going fast enough. Just under a year, 9 months in this new venture. But I think I have to come to terms with that. Law. Different people have different pace, right? So I also learned to know that I cannot e- expect someone to be like me. Neither can they expect me to be them. It's
Mm.
more of a acceptance, and you have to come to realization and can't accept that. Mm.
Oh my gosh, you are so deeply conceptual, deep thinker, and you hold so many complexity and you try to bring it into one space. I'm not sure how you do it, which means that the next thing I'm very curious about is that, so one of those things I really like and admire about you is your ability to stay true to yourself and to talk about what you're truly feeling. And that's the part that I find you very attractive in the conversations that we have. We've had
Mm.
two conversations lah. But in the two conversations I feel like I've known you for a long time. Right?
That's your strength, Mala. That is your strength.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, you dig deep, and so that's what I'm looking for. So tell me, as a guy, right? When you are, what are some difficult emotions that you experience when you are holding two opposites and you're trying to just bring it together? Whether it's
Mhm.
success and failure, whether wanting to be successful and grow the business and be patient at the same time, like
Mm.
the turmoil, the wrestle within, right? So what are the emotions that you experience and how do you actually manage it?
Mm. That's a good question. No one really asked me about this, and I think, to really be honest, I always struggle with being worried or fearful, the emotion of fear. Um, I think that stems from me as a person always want things to be to a certain extent ideal, and not knowing, but also not knowing what the future will hold.
Mm,
I hold this quote unquote fear or concern or worry is because at the age of 20 or 21, I started my first business, and I had a God given epiphany where, the literature that we study in school, the road less taken. So to me, right, being an entrepreneur is not the road less taken, although many may concur and say that, yes, it's the road less taken. The road less taken are astronauts, people who perhaps manage or operate a train 24/7, right? Those are very unique jobs of becoming a scientist. To me, an entrepreneur is building your own road. And because I built my own road, so I didn't go left, I didn't go right. I
mm,
went straight with a bulldozer. So while building my road, right, I don't have a lot of resources. I don't have like a point man in front of me and saying, oh, 5 miles more, there's a drop. or 5 miles more, there's mud. You need to bring more materials. No, I don't know. I'm just one person, maybe with my partners, all at the same time, simultaneously plowing through and trying to make a new path. And because of that, I think a lot of time that has resulted in worrisome fear because you don't know what's ahead. You don't know. They're all just trees and so on. You don't really know what's ahead. But you need to build a path towards, quote unquote, that success that we've been talking about half an hour ago. And I feel that's a struggle because a lot of times it's I come to a point where because I want to struggle between the ideals, right, having a successful career, professional career, and also marriage or family, a ministry, make social impact, and staying true to my purpose, and so on. That fear of not being able to do that, right? Or the fear of, did I again make the right decision, right? We make thousands of decisions a day, but true decisions that make a huge impact, right? You only get a few chances to make them per se in your lifetime, right? So starting new businesses, finding new people to really be in, you're also meddling, quote unquote, meddling with their lives, and the fear of, to be truthful, the fear of not being able to succeed in the simplest of things like offering them a good salary or a stable salary, right? Is it worth it? Like I'm meddling with their lives, if this new venture don't go well, and the promise, the dreams that we have, right? They are not young, right? So are they also making a good decision, right? That fear cripples to a certain extent, that worry, that concern, the uncertainty, the fear, and to be placed in a position of leadership as well. And plus the pandemic, none of this is helping, by the way, right? So it's a heightened thing and increased of that fear.
How do you deal with it? Because it's very clear that you are a perfectionist, you are ideal, you build your pictures. At the same time, you're driven by passion, big dreams, wanting to make a difference. And combined with all of this, you want to be congruent. It's easy to be idle, or you want to be congruent, you want to be true to you, you want to be true to people and the promises. I like that's like such ideal states, and a lot of people will say, okay, let's take the practical route, right? But so you're struggling with it. I can see naturally there'll be anxiety, right? uh, Anxiety and fear is a natural thing in the road that you have chosen, because you said, you're building your own road, right? We don't know what's ahead. How do you deal with these emotions when they come crowding?
Very good. I think the quickest answers and all this, some may concur and believe, with me, is that prayer helps. Really believing in a higher power that end of the day, I do whatever I can, and then I trust and have faith in a higher power, which for me is God, right? Is Jesus. I believe that He always comes at the last minute when He loves that He loves being a bountiful at the last minute, because that puts my trust in Him in very stormy days. That's the spiritual part. Practical part, which I've learned, is this word I also say, ideal. I keep reminding myself that actually, there is no ultimate ideal in life. There. So
Nice.
once I accept that, that is also the cause of fear, and therefore, if I accept that there is no ideal in life, I give you a case in point. Um, uh, the I As you grow up, you might have pictured a certain marriage that you want to have, a wedding, so nice, right? My wife and I were part of this pandemic couple, right? So we planned everything. We really took about a year to plan everything, and then the pandemic hit in March 2020. Our wedding was supposed to be in April 2020.
Whoa.
So we
Okay.
canceled everything, and you can imagine those people who know what I'm trying to say. If you plan for your wedding for so long, invitations all go out, cards all printed, everything was prepared to a certain extent, even all our bridal party. You will know that you come to a stage where you have to accept that there is no ideal in life. You can plan, you can have everything in place, but something can happen, and then you need to respond and accept it. Right? Everything again, people, I believe in this. Everything happens for a reason. But I believe also the way I handle it is to tell myself, look back to basics, no ideals in life.
Nice.
Um, and I
So
think that's how
first, ideals
goes.
don't get stuck with them. So the ideals
Yeah.
are for us to see how our best versions can come out, right? Because
Mm.
without those, you become complacent. You accept, your mediocrity, right? But your
Mm.
ideals is for you to achieve your best version, but at the same time, know that there's no real space as ideal. Things will go wrong,
Yeah.
and challenges will happen. But how do you respond to that situation is what you're saying, and you
Mm.
are anchored in faith and God who has always saved you. That's what I heard.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So, what is the road that you're building right now? Because I know you're always building your own road. So, what is the
Yeah.
road you're building right now? Tell us about it. So listen. He's going to tell about the roads and see whether how many people can join him on the road. Yes.
Awesome. I think because of the pandemic, I'm going to talk about two businesses of these two roads that I've built or rebuilt. In Open Minds, we've been running for the past 9 years, and right now we are very involved in marketing technology. In this day and age, we all need digitalization. So we believe in the advisory and consultation work of digitalization and MarTech, marketing technology. And because of that, the pandemic has brought us to our knees as well to a certain extent. So it's a combination of um, a drop in sales, but at the same time, a good pivot time for us to see our portfolio and experiences and pivot to a service that we believe there is great demand. So the road we are building again is building up clients or brands or businesses that's able to come in this journey with us and say that, hey, Open Minds, I really don't know what I'm doing in terms of integration, digitalization, transformation, this whole area of tech, right? We have the expertise, and I think we're trying to build a team that is also well versed in this, a leadership that team that is also focused on helping businesses go online, stay online, maintain
Right.
online, integrate systems, because we build a lot of enterprise systems as well, customer relationship management systems from scratch. We built a lot of enterprise trading systems for commodity. We have built e-commerce sites. We have advised FMCGs, retail, F&B companies, and so on. And that's one road we are trying to build once again, right? So that's the Open Minds side, right? While Open Minds is actively going on in that path, we are reimagining education, which is then in Open Academy, right? Open Academy sets out to be a life changer in the way we educate ourselves, and it's a more of a on the go, on the move type of learning. And because of that, we have translated all our digital content and programs from different trainers, right, to be in an app. And you can actually download this app on Apple, on App Store, or from Google Play. We're giving away 100,000 free premium accounts throughout this year. And that's one area of education we are building the road. And the last road I'm building is, I've said, my latest venture called Feed Forward. Feed Forward focuses on CPG industry, consumer packaged goods. And again, I said it's not ideal in life. I'm going back to basics, and literally I'm going back to consumer packaged goods and how we consume products. And we're trying our best to make it effective, right? The CPG, the consumerables that we have, especially in the food industry, whether it's sauces and condiments, whether it's snacks for the family, whether it's healthy eating snacks, or even frozen food and drinks, and how we consume these daily things. How do you make it effective and accessible? So we place all our products online. You can easily buy them through our native platforms, through marketplaces like Shopee, and they get delivered to your doorstep in 2 to 3 days' time. Right. So that's the basic of basic I'm going into in the CPG new venture, looking for funding to grow and scale. But that's another road that we are building.
So you've shown me three roads or three
Yeah.
highways that you're building, which is Open Minds. So
Yeah.
for you're helping businesses to digitalize their business and grow their business. So anyone who is struggling with digitalization should get in touch with you. Is that okay? It is
Yes.
okay to get in touch with you, right? Okay.
Mm.
So if you're on LinkedIn and you are thinking, okay, how do I digitalize my business? And if you like Daryl, you can contact him. And so interesting Open Academy where you are actually, shifting education and you're putting it out there for people to learn, right? And you did say that you're giving out free premium accounts. Did you say
Yes,
that?
free premium accounts, 100,000 free premium accounts this
Whoa.
whole, yeah.
Okay, so do check out Open Academy. Is that correct? If you want to know more and how to get educated for free. And the third one is Feed Forward. So if you want to be part of the business, did you say you were looking for funding?
Yes, looking for funding, correct.
Okay.
Scale.
All right. So you're looking for funding because you want to grow the business. And if
Mm.
you are looking at Daryl and you're thinking, maybe I can fund in his business, get in touch with Daryl.
Mm.
You'll find Daryl Tan both on LinkedIn and Facebook. So do get in touch with him. Right. So Daryl, thank you very much. It's past 1 o'clock now, but I'm not going to let you go without my rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Sure, go ahead.
Rapid fire, you cannot go and do all the thinking of all levels, okay? Very quickly, whatever comes to your mind.
Right.
We want to dig deep into your wisdom. Are you ready? All right. What is a common criticism about you that you are glad you ignored?
Glad I ignored the criticism of you're not able to make it.
Yay, nice. What advice you ignored but you wish you hadn't?
Um, wow, these are deep questions there, Mala. What advice? Ignore. I wish I had it. I actually, really, honestly, don't. I can't think of any. Really.
That's fine. That's fine. When you think, you let us know, okay? So that we can learn from
Yeah.
you. Okay. Greatest childhood lesson in leadership.
Childhood lesson in leadership. Be focused. Yeah, be focused in what you do.
Tell us more.
I think growing up, I had many roles to play as well, even at a young age. And I think what I've been taught is to also, at that point of time, be focused at what you're doing, because I also don't believe in multitasking. So you are unable to multitask certain things. So stay focused, what you're doing at that point of time, and dedicate that time and energy there.
Nice. Thank you very much. One thing I cannot live with.
One thing I cannot live with, my wife.
Oh, nice. I must meet her.
Crowds me up. She's a totally different character from me.
I'm sure because I can imagine how opposite she is just by her career. Okay, so yeah, we'll bring her on someday. I hope. Your legacy. What do you think is your legacy that you are leaving behind?
I have a purpose that I live true to, is that I would want to create a sustainable platform for all generations before me or after me, in the marketplace, in the family unit, right? To kickstart a purpose-driven journey for them. And that's the legacy I hope to live, kickstarting that purpose-driven journey for people, whether it's before me or after me, in terms of generation. Yeah.
Wow. Being whole means. What does being whole means to you?
Being whole means um, a life a life of character. Someone told me this before. Character is something that you build to your grave, and being whole, I believe, is only through character building. And one of my spiritual mentor always remind me this: never go where your talents can bring you, but your character cannot sustain you. So if you have talent and character going simultaneously at the same pace, at the same rate, I think that is wholesome to me.
Okay. I've never asked for advice from other speakers, but I'm going to ask you for one big advice for you to leave behind. Okay. How do we cut away from addiction to the worldly success?
It's all again back to our mindset, I believe. I truly believe this. First and foremost, it needs to start from here. Your mind needs to have a paradigm shift, that the worldly success doesn't mean that you need to have that kind of success, right? Because the world pushes you to wake up, grind, hustle, and repeat. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of times that is not sustainable as where your life is supposed or meant to be, not just for your work vocation, but also you being a parent, if you are able or blessed to be, you being a auntie or uncle, you being a mentor or disciple to someone, or you just being a friend
Mm,
to someone,
mm,
right? I think you need to show up. You need to be present at a certain point of time. And I think the first thing to do is to accept it and to have a mindset shift here first in your mind,
mm,
and then you translate it to your heart to really love what you're doing, or really love and be passionate about this new viewpoint that you have, that success, right, where the world paints it, is not exhaustive in nature. You have a
mm.
chance to produce or to create your own success and your wholesome success as you find it to be as well. Doing a bit of branding for Hearts and Mind here. Just so like these are the biggest words
Thank
I've
you,
seen.
thank you,
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, but
yeah.
I think that's why it was very important for me that, and I'm very grateful that you said yes, because I mean, really, Devil, you are so young, but the kind of wisdom that you've actually shown, right? And the amount of thinking you've done, and how you brought all of this to one space, and I love the way you said, bring your character everywhere you go, and that's the measure of who you are, right? And
Mm,
if you don't want to be, you want success, but you don't want to be addicted to success, then you have to have certain principles that you live by, because it is so easy to be addicted to success,
mm, yeah.
and of course, I have a friend here who says, he liked the word hustle, because the noise outside for success is so loud. If you don't hear your voice inside,
Mm,
it's so easy to be drawn and drowned by the noise outside,
mm,
right? And that's why listening in is really important. And I think you gave us a lot of tips. If I had to rebrand this topic, I won't call you a serial entrepreneur. I will say, wisdom from spiritual leadership. So, with that, thank you very much, Daryl. I'm
Thank
very
you so
sure
much.
if I get to the point of talking about spiritual leadership, I'm definitely going to count on you. So, saying thank you, I think you've seen a lot of comments coming in. Gerald says, excellent session, took away many learnings. Season of
Thank
life
you
is
so
one,
much.
yes, and all the best, Daryl, to you.
Thank
Anita
you.
Lawrence also says the same thing, that she truly enjoyed it, and Dr. Vimy as well. Awesome quote on character and skill. Yeah, so we'll try and put it up, Dr. Vimy, so that we can quote Daryl over and over again. So, Daryl, thank you. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best. God bless
Thank
you. And I really hope I get to see that awesome wife of yours.
you.
So
Yes.
have a good, great, wonderful day, knowing that you've left it with, a legacy and a true stand of your character.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
Daryl.
much. Thank
I
you. Thanks, everyone.
you.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Daryl Tan. I hope you enjoyed the session, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I learned so much. Wish I had met him when I was much younger, so that I could have taken up some of his lessons. So, with that, for those who joined us, for those who actively engaged, thank you for spending your 1 hour plus with us. Hope it was good use of your time. If you find it useful, please share. Do tell us what other stories you like to hear. So next week, we're going to end the month of June with a great speaker, Dr. Vimi Ramasamy. She is going to share a topic, and we're going to talk to her about in her father's footstep. So tune in with us next Friday, same time, with Dr. Vimi, who's going to talk about in her father's footstep. With that, have a great week ahead, or weekend ahead. To all fathers out there, happy Father's Day, and have a great Father's Day celebration, because from all the stories you've heard that you make a huge difference. For all the men who are amazing role models to wonderful people like Daryl Tan, the making of Daryl Tan. Happy Father's Day to you too. And, know that, we need you. And so continue making the difference in the lives of people wherever you can. With that, this is Malar signing off, being whole, being me. I will see you next Friday. Thank you and have a beautiful weekend. Signing off now.